The man of the hour.
Roger, we just took care of one small piece of business. We approved the bid that Lance had received from Aptim Environmental.
Okay, that's on DocuSign.
That's on DocuSign, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty clear cut.
Let's see if I can find all of it.
Looks like you've already signed it, John.
I'm quick.
Is that the well drilling bid?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Roger, we've got Dave Chappell on to talk about 115th.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah.
I can just see the top of your hat.
Oh, sorry. I'm good. Whatever business you gentlemen need to take care of.
Oh,
I'm good to, I'm just working on a few things so I can stop and jump on or do whatever we need to do.
you can go ahead and take care of this. What's up?
Do you want me to take the lead? What do you want? What do you want? I'm happy to whatever course.
Yeah, I'd like to hear. I know we've had an issue up there with the road, and apparently you wanted an opportunity to kind of explain your side.
I'm not sure what my side is, Roger. I mean, if you want me to list concerns I have, I'm happy to do so. I'd like to hear the road department's commentary on it as well. I still maintain, like I did 4 years ago, that the best thing to do is to work together. But we may be at a point where that's not a reasonable expectation. I don't know.
So Dave, one of the main questions I have, and I know I talked to you yesterday or Monday evening,
mm-hmm.
and is I've got to know clearly if that road was open or not, because it sounds like there's some disagreement on that. Unless I misunderstood you, you said that KR had told you that to go ahead and start using the road.
So they opened the road the 16th of March. I called Ken Ray and asked Ken Ray, can we take vehicles over that? He says, yes, just no heavy vehicles. And both us and the windmill people, Ridgeline Energy, were both driving up and down that road with vehicles. The on or around the 30th.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah.
So we started opening that road on the 16th, but that was the first day that we even got any of the snow off.
Correct.
And so at that point in time, we wouldn't have said basically use any vehicles on there because it was so wet. Maybe a pickup or two wouldn't be bad, but I think the challenge is with anything heavier than a pickup, the road goes to pieces, and it has gone to pieces. And just because we're cutting through the snow doesn't mean the road is open to the traveling public. We had road closed signs there, and Road and Bridge hadn't ever took those road closed signs down, nor did we update our map that showed those road closed signs still being there.
I didn't actually say that we took semis. We just drove pickups, and it's basically limited to one or two of us. So the windmill people go back and forth to Ryrie to lunch. You're talking, they actually have, give or take 5 or 6 employees that drive up and down that road every day, the minute they can access it, whether it's on cats or on their personal vehicles, the entirety of the winter. We drive around the entirety of the winter. I didn't insinuate, nor did I say on the 16th, we took semis up there. It wouldn't have been physically possible. The 16th is the first day they were there. They opened it up.
They cut through the snowbanks on that day and started. They didn't finish on the 16th.
Okay, I'm happy to talk, but I think that whereas we're on Zoom, it would be more beneficial that somebody make a point or talk and then somebody else comment. This is kind of counterproductive.
No, I just wanted to understand, Dave. So you said that KR had told you to go ahead and start using light vehicles on it on the 6th.
Yeah, he said when they get it blown open, and that's been course of action for years since we started up there. The first year we were up there, they allowed us to keep it open. That wasn't a good idea. I 100% agree. So we went away from that. So the minute they put that sign up there in the fall, there's no heavy anything, tractors or otherwise. We pull all the equipment we need to work on, we pull through Iona. Every semi prior to, we started shipping out of that farm up there the middle of March. We took everything around Iona until the 2nd of April. We never took a heavy vehicle, nothing besides just passenger vehicles, pickups.
But even on the 2nd of April, it still wasn't open, Dave.
Yes, it was.
No,
The signs were pulled. Yes, they were. A white pickup showed up there with the service bed on the back of that truck. We were sitting in the yard at our South Slope farm on that South farm. A white pickup truck with the service bed on it pulled up, put the sign in the back of his truck, picked up the sandbag, cut it open, and dumped the sand on the road. 2 days before we ever even took a truck up there.
I'm just saying it wasn't road and bridge.
Whoever pulled those signs, they tell us when the signs are pulled, you can use the road. The sign was pulled from both the south and north end of that road. They weren't laying in the brush. They weren't anywhere. They were gone. We watched the gentleman on the south end pull the sign, pick up the sandbag, and cut it open. Dump the sand on the road.
Do we know where the signs are, Lance?
The signs are now put back up. We had them put back up this week.
The original signs.
I don't know whether the original signs are now. I do know that our sign shop says that they did not pull any signs off of 115th this year.
So
We
somebody-
watched a white truck with the service bed on it. County truck picked that sign up and cut that sandbag open and dropped the sand on the road, and then proceed to drive up the road to the north.
Dave, could you definitively tell that it was actually a county a county truck that had the county sign on the side?
Yeah, because I've seen that truck before.
Our standard practice is we don't cut open those sandbags. We don't dump them on the road. And we don't take those road close signs down until it's dry enough to dry on.
That was the part that made me question if it was road and bridge, because they cut the sandbags instead of.
Those sandbags are rotten by the time they pick them up.
Granted, they
Okay, so
typically, we don't,
where we are, the signs were taken down, and I have no reason to doubt that you saw a white truck with a flatbed on it come take the signs down.
Now the
It
question,
wasn't a flatbed, it was a service bed. It's a white truck that they have that has a service bed on it that's a closed bed on the back of the truck.
Okay,
well, if there's some question about removal of public property, and Road and Bridge said they haven't got it, and you said it's a white truck, somebody has removed it, maybe we better have it, because that's a violation. And maybe we better see if the sheriff will go up and get reports, and we can find out where those signs went.
The only time I've ever seen those signs ever, Roger, where they're not totally removed is somebody knocks them down or moves them to the side.
Right?
We've stood up that sign to the south on numerous occasions,
Well-
but I've never in 4 years, not to say it's not possible today, but
Yeah.
I've never seen those signs totally removed on both sides of the road and just
Well, and
completely absent.
We could spend a lot of time, and we need to kind of move to other issues on this road. Maybe we just get a deputy to go up and get a report, because apparently we don't have possession of any signs, and they have been removed, and, try to do a little investigation on who may have removed them, and let an independent party take the information from both sides.
Perfect.
seems like the real issue here is being able to use the road.
We have no intention to use the road. It's obviously needs repaired. We took trucks up there on the 2nd, 3rd part of the day on the 5th, and stopped about midday on the 5th and told them they had to reroute and go the other way. So we have no intention of using the road at all, nor are we going to press the issue.
Dave, what route do they take when they
Go down to 55th and around.
Do we have the breakup limits on the other county roads?
They are posted. Yes, they're still posted.
And are those loads within those limits, Dave?
I don't know what the breakup limit is. You'll have to help me understand.
350 inches per square inch of tire and 35 miles an hour for trucks and buses.
So if they pass, because there's been multiple times where there's been DOT has had checkpoints set up and pulled these trucks in. So I'm assumptively thinking if they're passing these inspections, which they are, that they're probably in compliance. I don't own the trucks, so I don't have the ability to tell you exactly how fast they're driving, but in terms of the weight, DOT has had checkpoints up on Highway 26 and right here on the outskirts of Ryrie for off and on for 2 months.
I don't think that the DOT checkpoints are concerning themselves with specific Mono County frost law stuff.
That may be. I don't
How
know.
are weight limits compared to the ones on state roads? Lance?
I don't have an actual comparison between them. I know that Highway 26 consistently sees way heavier loads than our frost law will allow.
Well, again, the issue, those trucks are just people picking up seed. Those don't belong to Foster's or have anything to do with them. So that, they would have no way of controlling that. But I think the real issue we've got to talk about now is there is some considerable damage on the road. It looks like it happens in the same place each time. You got to wonder if long-term it's not to the advantage of everyone to get those 3 or 4 soft spots with some pit run in them and get them strengthened up to the point where this isn't going to happen in the future. Would you say, Lance, that would be the best option going forward for the county?
Well, I think partially that's true, just because we have gone in the past on some soft spots. We've dug them down, we've over excavated, we put in fabric and brought it back up with pit run. Those soft spots haven't continued to be soft spots. So these spots that are happening this year are in different areas than has happened in the past. So overall, yes, I think rebasing the entire 115th would be a very good option. I just don't know how much time and how much money that's going to take to do. The other thing I'll say is these roads need to stay closed until they're dry enough to drive vehicles on. And that's a bigger question to me, is how do we keep these roads closed? Because once the roads are dry enough, they don't seem to be having a problem that they do right after we've tried to get the snow off the road.
And that's been the long-term practice or historic practice of the county, is to open them up, let them dry out before they remove the signs. I think we may want to reconsider even pickup traffic, things like that, until they're fully open. Just because it seems like that confuses the issue a little bit, for one thing. The other thing, as far as the damage, I think we need to find out who removed the signs and where they went.
I'm not sure that that's going to be a conclusive decision, Commissioner. I don't know how we're going to know conclusively who took the signs.
I know, but you never know the conclusion of any investigation until it's happened. It
Yeah.
may be inconclusive, you know.
If you would like to have the sheriff show up at my shop, Commissioner Christensen, I would be happy to schedule on the hour appointments with every employee in my operation just to clear
Yeah.
your mind of Foster's.
Yeah, we'd leave that up to the sheriff to find out what level, but you know, they may want to get a description of the pickup, compare it. I don't know what they do when they do that.
Mhm.
You know, but if there is somebody, and we're not saying that you guys have gone up and moved those signs, you know, it could have been some recreation people who wanted to get in there. It could have been the wind people, who knows? You know, they need to understand that they can't do that.
Who at the sheriff's department would you like me to coordinate with to start that investigation?
Let me talk to Sam and see if he has a deputy up in that area that can just go ask questions. You know, I wouldn't want it to be an in-depth thing, but just to get the information, you know, because if you've had a report of something being removed or stolen or whatever you want to call it of county property, I think we at least need to have that looked at.
Okay,
And I think going forward, Dave, I think you'll agree that somehow we've got to have an agreement on when heavy trucks go up and down
Yeah.
that road. It can't. just
I
be with the
concur.
sign.
I concur 100%. Yeah, I will make it a point in the past, or excuse me, in the future, to talk to Ken Ray or somebody. The signs were removed, and in the past, those signs were removed when the road was ready, and so that's why we did that. But there will be. I'll make sure, as it relates to us, that we don't drive on that road unless we talk to Ken or get verification that it was in fact the county that pulled the signs. I've seen that truck before, so I feel pretty confident about what we saw. But
You haven't seen it going back and forth to the windmills?
no, the windmill people don't have a truck with a bed like that on it.
No, I'll just switch chairs.
so we got Ken Ray here, and he wants to talk a little bit about the notification here, so.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Dave. He had done really good the past few years in talking with me on when he can haul on that road and when we feel he can. He failed to do that this year as far as hauling on that road. I was under the impression the road was still closed, and I went up and took pictures of the road the other day and talked to the sign shop. They said they didn't pull them either, but Dave and I have talked over the past couple of years and have worked really well together. It just seemed like he didn't do it this year.
How long of a stretch of road is this between where, you know, because we've tried to improve that up to where the school buses end, and you know, so that we wouldn't have as many problems with the soft road from that
School
point.
buses don't go past 101st North, right?
Right.
How long of a stretch of road is that between the end of where the school buses are and their sellers?
The school bus, I think, Roger, you're not on the same road. So the school bus goes down 101.
Right.
The pavement doesn't stop for a few miles past 101. And you're talking, I don't have it measured, so I couldn't tell you the exact approximate distance, but it's approximately 2 miles maybe
The oil ends
to the worst spots.
better than that.
What's that?
There's a total length of about 4.5, 5 miles of road, but the oil ends not very far south of 101st. There, what?
Yeah, so you're probably, the real bad spot in the road is probably 2 miles or less from the oil. I think there's 5 miles of total road from south to north to connect oil. But I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't measured it. I think it's 6 miles from here to my cellars. So if 5 miles would be the most, I would think.
It's about
And I'm talking Ryrie. What's that?
It's about 4.5 miles since the windmill people come in and oiled that last piece. So you're talking about 4.5 miles from 89th North back to the windmills.
Okay.
To the office there where it turns back into oil. That south end, we went in a few years ago and did some fabric and built that up. And it's usually pretty good for you to haul out that way, you know, which you have been doing. And so that piece of the road is pretty good base wise. It's that other section from 89th back up over the Dugway is where we're concerned here.
Yeah, 101's good. There's pit run. It's rough past the houses. It's pretty much pit run all the way, but that road's not an issue at all. It has base.
Now 101, we've come in with the base and then we've capped it with 3/4 from 115th, actually clear back to your cellars now.
What's going to be your recommendation, KR, to repair this 115? Because the pictures the land sent, it looks like it's pretty bad right now, not even drivable.
It's pushed down in and they're pumping mud up through it. They pushed any base material in there down. We need to go in there. Well, first and foremost, we got to get it dried out. I can't even haul trucks on there now for fear of doing more damage than what's there. Grading it at this point won't do any good because it'll just blow back out. So until it dries out, but we need to go in there and definitely build it to a commercial grade with 18 inches of pit run and then some maintenance material over the top.
Okay, can everybody see this map just so we can understand it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I always get confused.
Go west a little bit further. Go west a little bit further.
West?
Well, so you scrolled west, yeah. So, right? You see where the 89th North is?
Uh-huh.
So that's Bud Johnson's old place where the Talbots farm.
Right.
Essentially where the oil ends on 115th to 115th is to the left of that 89th North. Right there. That's 115th. So you see also 101st North on there.
Okay, and are these the cellars over here?
No.
Those are some of their cellars, but not the cellars we're talking about today.
Okay, because when I looked this up, that's the cellars. I thought they were. Where are the cellars you're talking today?
They are further south.
Oh, this is the one that goes off the Blacktail Road.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
It's north of Blacktail Road, but so
You're going to be in the bottom left of your screen there, Roger.
yeah, you can see those two cellars in the bottom left, right about where your cursor is now.
Yeah, because we had kept, I mean, the wind people, okay, this is the oil we're talking about. And that's where I was confused because
there's no oil right there. The oil's further south from there, Commissioner.
Down here?
Down further, yeah, towards where the windmill office is.
There. Okay, so the problem is similar to what we've had before. Now, it's such a long trip around to go to here that they wanted to get in on the north end as soon as possible. Is that what's causing?
Your cursor's kind of.
Do you want to pull a map up? I'll unshare this one.
Yeah, let me try to pull up a Google Earth image and we can go through it.
Okay.
Regardless, it sounds like we've got to repair it with pit run now. We're at that point, from what you said, KR, that there's really no choice now but to go in there and repair those soft spots.
And that's what I'm trying to find. Where are the soft spots? Are they up here by?
They're up by 89th.
89th North, because they've come around this way, or to get the seed. Correct.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen here. So we're in the same area. So here's 89th North, here's 115th. And the cellars are down here. And so the road is typically closed from right about where my hand is here to
No,
here.
oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and that's the one that goes down through Bud Johnson's.
So Bud
Yeah.
Johnson's is right here, but it does connect, and the Dugways are through this area here.
Yeah.
So from the top of the hill north to 89th is the stretch that has the damage on it. And
Okay,
that is the stretch that had been closed for all winter. And Bonneville County has not opened that up to vehicular traffic yet. So the windmill office, here's the cellars again. The windmill office is here. This is where the oil ends, and it's gravel from here north to 89th. From here down to Blacktail Road is oiled as well. So a couple of years ago, we went in the stretch through here and added a bunch of fabric and pit run and brought that up to a better commercial grade standard. That section of road has held up fairly well.
keep going up that road and show me where the major damage is then.
So the major damage is probably, well,
No. Keep going to the south. So basically,
South?
right, well, we're about
Right in there.
to the bottom of that Dugway. There
Yeah.
you go, there.
Yeah,
From
right
there
in
to
there.
9th, you're talking that 3-mile stretch
from here
to 89th is where most of the
To here,
damage is.
right through there.
Most of the damage being contained to about the first 2 miles from 89th south, right about in there.
Okay. Yeah, and that helps me understand better because this is the old problem we had instead of the new one for the cellars up on the north side. That's where I was picturing we were.
How much does it cost per mile to do what you've got to do in there, KR? You know?
Well, off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't have them figures. I just have to run the figures again.
We can put it together fairly quickly, but from what we've done to get ready for a BST treatment, we're talking on the order of $150,000 to $170,000 a mile.
And if I recall, we kind of discussed with, I think it was Dave that was there and the Talbots, and they seem to have a different opinion on whether they wanted to get that fixed up so it could be driven through that early. There was quite a difference there, wasn't there, Dave?
I don't recall ever having a meeting with Talbots or anybody. I don't. You'll have to refresh my memory.
Yeah, somebody from Foster was on there when we were talking about this same issue 3 or 4 years ago. And apparently, you know, after Bud passed away, the Talbots have it. And, they didn't seem to want to cooperate on that section. Because some of it, I think, would have, especially around the Dugway, would have required some right of way. Bud Johnson.
Yeah,
was
that right of way ground is state ground. The ground that you're talking about going around the Dugway, are you talking about trying to get around the Dugway?
No. When we were talking about improving this road and trying to get the landowners up there to participate so we could try to get it in our budget and move it up in the schedule.
When you say participate, what would you propose we do?
Well, I think we proposed something on the little stretch beyond the oil up off of Blacktail. I don't know if you guys ever finished that off, you know, to get the base up to where you could get in there earlier and not ruin that section of the road. But that
So-
required you to go back around Iona.
The challenge I have is that there is no base in the areas where it's soft. You can dig down about 2 or 3 feet and it's straight powder. It's dirt. There's no base. There's never been a base. I guess I have concerns when I see the amount of money that you've put on 101 South and all these other areas to the tune that I understand to be multiple millions of dollars. Why somebody who pays the amount of fuel tax that they pay relative to, say, like those homes, why you would approach me and say, we want you to participate in building up the base to get a county road up to spec. If you're talking about BST, maybe that's a separate argument or separate, conversation topic, but I guess you're going to have to enlighten me as to what we should pay additionally to fuel tax and everything else to contribute to the maintenance of the roads.
It's not the maintenance, it's the upgrade. And traditionally,
And or the upgrade.
well, traditionally, we've had some large developers who have farmers even who have tried to get the improvements done for a specific purpose, like your cellars up there, which when they were put in, it's winter maintenance only. We've had that discussion before.
Mhm.
And so you change the use in there. I mean, we've had one farmer put in a whole bunch of money to improve a road out to the ranch. It's like any other developer that would come in and help improve. If you did a subdivision where you require the developers, not the other gas taxpayers, require the developers to improve that if they want to get a business. And there has been a precedent for getting that type of participation. Or the other alternative is we have a matrix that we give. We look at truck traffic, school bus traffic, all those type of traffics to try to prioritize where we put those dollars. So it's not a matter of they pay this much in gas tax, we pay this much in gas tax. It's a matter of where the demand is, school bus traffic. It's quite a deal, and we could have Lance share that with you, and we could do another traffic study up there, traffic count, to see how that fits. But that's the best way we found to get it moved up in the priority, because the gas tax funding does not nearly cover, and it's going farther and farther backwards, doesn't nearly cover the maintenance of all the roads we have to cover. So it's a balancing act.
So my question would be how good does a road have to be to get a school bus to get kids out, to get kids on a school bus?
To where there's enough of a base, and usually it has to be to where we can maintain it in the winter. And that needs to be brought up to a standard. And I think that's what they did up on 101 First.
Would that be the same logic on Birch Creek?
Birch Creek is done by the traffic studies and the number of houses and school buses. Yes.
Birch Creek has been on that matrix for at least as long as I've been with the county, which is 5 years. And it has risen up a few different times. We worked on a little bit of it. There have been other roads that jump ahead of it in the matrix over time if we get new traffic counts. But we are still working on what was done over 5 years ago and trying to get Birch Creek done.
And they haven't been happy because they have been bumped down because traffic changes in other areas.
Well, I don't think that the purpose is to make everyone happy. I think it's to assess and do our jobs, right? So, I mean, I've got people on 101 South, we've got 10 lots and 9 homes, and these people want me to pay for half the BST of the road. Go look at 101 from the turnaround that you built for the bus to our sellers. There's no comparison to the quality of the road in front of those homes to the sellers. So I guess when you talk about demand, we ship 1,200 semis of seed out of this area. I mean, there's so many other things that go into the paying for these things, but I've argued property tax. You educated me that property taxes don't go to the road fund. So what does? You know, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars do you want me to spend a year? How many times do you want me to, you tell me what you want me to do. Because everybody gets the attention except for that road. So if you don't want to open the road, don't open the road. But it's really hard to hear you guys talk about standards when that road has no standard. It's dirt.
We agree. And the change of use that you put up there drives trying to get it to a higher standard. And that has to go in that matrix, like it or not. And, you know, it's not a matter of making everybody happy, because everybody is going to want their roads to be paved in front of their house. That's the only way they'd be happy. But
so it's really based on how many cars drive up and down a road, and more importantly, if a school bus goes up and down the road than anything else.
You can take a look at that matrix and the weighting system to understand it. But you know, that's the only way we could find to take the subjectivity out of it and to get a more objective view. And every time there is a change, yes, it will increase the traffic and it will shift it on that matrix. But those uses, if you want to get it up the priority faster, and we've dealt with this with a couple other large farmers, participate with us getting the road done. I mean, that's the only way you can get it up there with a limited amount of resources. But that's a discussion we had 4 or 5 years ago, and the argument was it was too difficult and took too long, and the cost to go around through Iona to get up there. So the problem we've got right now is finding out why and how the signs are moved, and maybe look at a way of keeping that closed a little longer, or make sure that there's no traffic permitted through there, KR, once the signs are up, even if it's light pickup. You know, you hate to tighten up like that, because, you know, we have farms up above Keps. You know, everybody wants to get up there as quick as they can, but, you know, we gotta put the priority on keeping our roads together, because we can't afford this type of damage and fixing it up every year on all of the roads.
Hey, KR, I have a question for you, or maybe it's for Lance. Does additional traffic, once snow has been deposited, once snow comes down on a county road, if you have ice build up from compaction from traffic, how does that factor in the deterioration of the road when you try and get it cleaned off to dry out in the spring?
Usually a good ice floor, you know, you take 3 or 4 inches of ice. When it thaws out, you end up with 8 inches of slush. Okay, so all that moisture goes into the road, so it takes a little longer for it to dry out. There's no way that you can keep an ice floor off of a gravel road. That's just the nature of the beast.
So why is it that the county allows the windmill company to travel up and down that road when it's closed with vehicles with tracks on them and pack the crap out of that road all winter long?
Because a tracked vehicle does not, it spreads out to where your weight isn't on a single track, and it is over the snow that they are traveling. They have a snowcat, and they also have a pickup with tracks on it. So it's
and that doesn't contribute compaction. Because my understanding is that the groomer up in Bonneville County creates a firm bed on the county road, which allows the traffic for the snow machines.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. We were talking at the same time.
Doesn't a groomer effectively do the same thing, compact the snow and create a firm bed?
Yeah, when they groom the trails, yes. It packs the snow down and makes a good ice floor underneath, and it does contribute to setting the road up for winter travel.
We also, over the snow travel, they stopped grooming those roads a month before we try to open them up. and then we try to open them up, and then we have to let it dry out before regular vehicles travel on it.
My point is that if you look at the contributing factors to the windmill company, I think that it directly correlates with the issues, location of issues on the roads. Every culvert to every road on the downhill side where it drains is plugged off. There's sediment built up, and when it begins to drain, it hits those culverts and it pushes the water out on the road, and it immediately sinks into the road. Every bad spot on that road below the dugways is in direct correlation with the culverts and the roads that go off for the windmill company. So I want to understand how me as a farmer on 101 South, I go dig the culverts out when I go work the dirt. I go dig the culverts out every fall and every spring so as to help the county preserve the integrity of the road so that the water doesn't run across the roads. There's a significant double standard on 115 East. Significant. You go watch that water when it drains. The county has done a perfect job in cutting the side of the road so that the water stays off the road, hits those culverts, redirects it back across the road to the other side, and it soaks up the road, and it prolongs the time needed to dry the road out in the spring.
It's an interesting observation, Dave, and I would like to come up and have you drive me around.
I want to know what the agreement is, because it was communicated to me years ago that the windmill company was not fulfilling their part of the obligation, where they created those access points all over 115 East and installed those culverts. One, those culverts are undersized. Two, they're smashed in. Three, they don't get dug out or cleaned.
We are not responsible for them culverts. They are.
I understand that, but you're responsible for the enforcement of the agreement, or someone is. So why doesn't anybody ever notice those things?
All we do, I do all the time. It's just, I don't enforce it. I'm not the one who needs, I don't know whether I'm supposed to be enforcing it.
I'm not saying that you are. It's a question. I want to know why. Because I'm telling you, if you go up and look at the soft spots, they are in direct relation to those culverts, and they're in direct relation to all those access points off 115 East. That road used to be crowned until those culverts were put in, and now there's low spots at every point where the water's directed out of the culvert's way across the county road.
I can't disagree with you, but that road still has a little bit of a crown in it, but the traffic has pushed it out.
Because of the softness of the road, correct?
No, just normal driving. Any gravel road, the traffic alone will push the gravel out to the side of the road. And then
I agree with you.
It seems to widen out from there. You take a perfectly good crowned road and you'll still end up with a 3-track road, because everybody drives down the middle, and then just eventually just pushes the rock off to the side of the road. And then we have to come back in and try to get it back into the middle. And then we hear the complaints because of the size of the rock.
Well, but the thing is you can't have one, you know what I mean? You can't have one and not the other. I understand what you're saying. I would like attention paid by the county. I would like them to go up and assess that. I can't for the life of me imagine that as part of the conditional permit to access the county road, that they put in culverts that are smashed, not dug out, build up sediment, direct water back from what the county has cut to be a drainage across the county roads. You know, all we're trying to do is speed up the process, not necessarily speed up the process. We're trying to mitigate the time that it takes in the spring for these roads to dry out. And all these contributing factors that lead to this being a prolonged process. Every year that road stays wetter and wetter and wetter. And it's because the water gets put back on the road once it drains off.
Okay, let's kind of wrap this up. I think we've heard a lot of the concerns. You know, the culverts, I know those are an issue even on the west side, because those fill in with the farmers and stuff. So that's not a project unique or a problem unique to that.
But Roger, with all due respect, it's not the same. Those culverts were put in as an access permit for those windmill roads. It's not the same. The culverts that are on the other side of the county would have been put in by the county, just like the ones on 101 were put in by the county. because they were put through a county road. These are culverts that abut the county road that negatively impact the ability for that road to drain and kicks the water back out on the county road.
Okay, well, let's get up and take a look at those, KR, and if John wants to go up and look at it too. But you know, there are a lot of other conditions that contribute to when a road can dry out too, that we don't have any control over. But you know, the issue is we need to make sure we look at keeping that road closed until it's firm, and then we'll, once you get up and take a look at it, let's see what the damage is and how we're going to deal with it. So that's about as far as I think we can go today.
So are you discounting my concern about the culverts?
No,
So what's the action item for that?
the action item is to go up and look at it and see if we need to enforce it. Because I know there are other culverts that farmers put into accesses and things like that contribute in different areas of the county. So that this isn't a singular issue to that. You know, you've got an awful lot of miles of roads, accesses, culverts. You know, it's not singled out to this specific. You know, it's part of a larger group of problems that we deal with all the time. We just need to learn how to manage them.
We might actually have a opportunity, a window here to address these because of the new permit that the windmill's going to need to enlarge those. And so, you know, part of the condition Road and Bridge is going to agree to for that permit. And it might be a good time to address that. And if improvements need to be made by those culverts, that could be a condition that you use, Lance. Am I correct on that?
I'm not sure how that permitting sets up right now, so I don't know what's involved with that. Steve Sear is on the line here too. So Steve, do you know when that permit is happening?
It's a different windmill company. The one we're doing on is UAMPS. This is not UAMPS.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm corrected then. But it sounds to me like we've got to address that as well. I mean, it's got to be a complete package to get this road fixed.
And if they're not complying, we need to take a look at who's responsible to get up there and make them.
Yeah.
The KR.
So Steve, do the windmills along 115th, do they have a current permit that renews? Is it something we can look at adding?
It's not a renewing permit on it. They obtain the access pit permit from Road and Bridge to put the roads in on them. If the obligation, I would take a look at the access permit that when it was issued to them, if there were any conditions on it. But are the culverts in the right of way or be outside of the right of way?
They're in the right of way.
In the right of way.
Well, they abut the county road.
Right away.
Most of the windmills, from what I've seen, are outside of the right of way.
Well, the specific question was regards to the culverts themselves at the access road points.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Dave?
Yeah,
Okay, so Steve.
I would assume that the culvert, because most county roads as it relates to gravel roads are not the full width of what would be considered the county right of way. I don't know where specifically the road is in position relative, if it's more to the east or more to the west. I don't know that. My assumption is most culverts that abut a county road that are in the drain area that's cut by the county. When you place a culvert in that drainage area, my assumption would be that that culvert, where it abuts the county road, would be in the county right of way.
If it does abut the county road, it probably is. But so the prescriptive right of way would be 25 foot from center line on each side of the road, wherever that road is at. So if the culvert is past that 25 foot from center line of road, it would be outside of the normal prescriptive right of way.
Let me say this, the power boxes that those windmills feed, pad mount transformers, so to speak, are further to the farmer's field than these culverts. And generally those power boxes are placed at the edge of the easement. Generally, I don't know that that's specifically the case on this road, but generally when they create some kind of a physical structure, those structures have to be at the edge of the county right away. And the culvert is between those boxes and the road.
Right. Most likely the permits for the culverts would have been issued with the access. They were delineated to be a requirement at the time that they put the private roads in. On most other, even in subdivisions where they put the individual, either the divot or the culvert underneath the private driveway going in, those responsibilities have been put on in the past, have been the responsibility of the owner, but not the county. Most of the time, the county ones are only permitted, the county responsibility are only for the culverts that are underneath public road rights of ways or roads that come off from it that are also public road rights of ways. So those would still be considered private improvements, and the responsibility for upkeep and maintenance of them should be the property owner, or in this case, the windmill company.
So Steve, can we verify that that's where the responsibility lies?
Because we didn't install them and we didn't accept them. We only gave an access permit to it. But I think if we look into it, that's probably how it will ultimately site, I would think.
Well, let's
No,
start.
at this point, let's look into it. I think we're still rehashing a lot of speculation and things that we don't have the facts on. And we've got quite a list of other things to get to today. So, Steve, if you want to get together with Lance and Road and Bridge and try to figure out who has the responsibility, whether it's the homeowner, whether it's the county, get up and take a look at that. Then we'll get up and take a look at the situation on the road. In the meantime, we probably need to keep it closed till it gets drivable. So,
Just for all parties involved, my understanding is there's to be no access until Ken and I talk again, which, so please understand, if you see a truck up there, it's not mine. And if you need to call me or ask me, I understand perfectly clear the current status of what it is and the misunderstanding associated with the signs being pulled in the first place.
well, and let's get hold of the wind people too, somebody, and tell them they can't be in there.
Yeah, they have 5 or 6 vehicles a day up and down that road nonstop.
Can you get hold of them, KR?
I will.
Okay. All right.
Hey, just in closing, if I could
Uh-huh.
I please just state that I am appreciative of Ken Ray. He's really my point of contact, and he has been extremely workable. He and I had a disagreement 4 years ago. He's been nothing but professional ever since we kind of got our stuff off our chest. And I really appreciate what they do. I apologize for the misunderstanding this spring when the signs were pulled. I should have probably called Ken. We just assumptively thought, well, the signs are pulled, we're okay. And and it didn't take very long for the road to be what it is. That's the sad part.
Yeah,
We pulled those trucks off midday the other day.
We appreciate the fact that you stood up and stopped the trucks when you noticed there was damage.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Lance, what else you got?
The next item is the signing of the JUB contract for the planning activities on 45th East.
I'm looking at these so I don't open all the different ones. What first one I've got is paintbrush.
That would be
That one, since it's open.
that's the name change, proposed name change.
So what did they end up? Just the whole thing?
They have proposed to change it to Pack Bridge.
Okay. Like John's already signed that one. Brian hasn't.
I will now.
Okay. The next one. I show is CenturyLink.
So that is a board order telling CenturyLink or Lumen to move their facilities on the 97th South Bridge location. There should be 2 letters in there that are called board orders, one for CenturyLink and the other one for Rocky Mountain Power.
We haven't heard back from Rocky Mountain Power.
Well, this is a different bridge on a different thing. So we're still working through the issue with Rocky Mountain Power on the 33rd North Great Western Canal. In fact, Tim Solomon called me while we were in this meeting, so.
Okay, but I mean, is it come to the point on this bridge that we need to send this type of a demand out?
So this demand gives them basically a 1.5 to 2 years to move their facilities. So
Okay.
this is kind of preemptive.
Okay, so it's not coming right to the end like we did this last one.
No, it's not. This is trying to get them well out in front, allow them to schedule it in before we ever start construction, which also was done on 33rd North. They just didn't move.
Okay, let's see. And then the next one, 45th East Planning, Phase 1, is that the one you're talking about?
That's the contracts for JUB, yes.
Must be a long one, it's loading slow.
Oh, there's 10 or 15 pages on it, so.
Okay, and tell us,
So this contract is basically the finalization of the planning document and the scope of work that was approved by the commissioners a couple of weeks ago.
okay, and this is for the road or the rest of the piping?
So this is for the planning activities associated with the road design and whether it needs to be a 5-lane or a 3-lane or a 2-lane or whatever that is from First Street north to Iona Road.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, JUB presented a couple different options. And so you wanted them to study it further and come back with some better recommendations.
Let's see. Oh, next DocuSign looks like claims. I probably missed those. Is that all you had then, Lance?
So you got the 2 board orders, the contract, we accepted the bid results and the name change, that was all signed?
Yes.
Okay, then I think we've got everything there.
Okay, what else we got?
I don't have anything else specifically to talk about unless you do.
I did, I sent you a text, Roger. We did do the research on the 101st sellers and the grain bins they have up there. That we found no evidence of any permit being issued for any of those. So they've all been slipped in without permits. We didn't do the research for the ones that you highlighted today. I'll have to do that and if there were any conditions on them, but
Well, that part of that was my confusion because I'm on 2 ends of the road now that they refresh this. This is a rerun, another Groundhog Day of discussions we had 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah,
I believe Chapel was there because I remember his approach. So, but we still need to get in and take a look at all those culverts and, you know, what we need to do to make it as good as possible.
Okay,
But I will pull it, see if we got anything on these other two sellers, just out of curiosity.
My biggest concern goes back to the long-term viability of this road. You know, and I know there's not the money there now, but I don't know, while we're doing it, it seems like it is a reoccurring issue and will be until that entire road is strengthened up. I mean,
Well,
right now,
yeah, strengthened up as well as allowed to completely dry out in the spring. Because even if this was a paved road through there, with the amount of snow that's right adjacent to the road, we still need to get through and allow it to dry out and get that water from the snow away from the road before it's traveled on.
how do we keep a road closed? I mean, and keep people from tearing your signs down, and that's,
Yeah. The only mostly effective way that I've seen is a physical barrier,
yeah.
like a large gate.
Forest Service uses
no-
big rocks, and the highway department uses Jersey barricades.
Well, we've seen those Jersey barricades in the past, and if you have the right kind of vehicle, you can push them out of the way fairly quick.
When they're pinned together, that seems like it'd be a challenge.
If they're pinned together, I've seen a lot less of them move, but
Yeah,
Jersey trails are still,
that's probably why the Forest Service uses those great big rocks.
well, they use great big rocks or they use gates.
Well, we might have to take a look at where this is a perennial problem. Because, you know, now that I'm more familiar with the argument, it was the cellars that were put in on the other end, up off, I just call it off Blacktail's side, because I can't remember the designations of the different roads. That's what's created the problem, because they did not want to drive around. And it was quite a lengthy, you could tell, heated discussion at the time, because they couldn't understand why they couldn't drive through, because it took them, and they told us how many extra miles to go around there to these sellers that they hadn't really thought about. They built those and then wanted us to improve the road between the two sellers so they could have a shorter route. That's the basics of it.
Now that he's not here to wind things up, so what kind of difference does it make if there's culverts that are sending water along the road and keeping the drainage space along the road full of water, instead of pulling it away so that the drainages aren't holding water so that the roads can dry out?
You've got a lot of areas where those culverts get plugged up. You know,
Right, I realize that, but
we need to get
kind of hold it to this one. If we have one group that put those culverts in and hasn't maintained them,
Yeah,
it
we
wouldn't be any different than one farmer that had a bunch of culverts in and was flooding the road.
because we've done that to farmers out on the west side. Some of them that plow the culverts in,
Yeah.
but you know, I didn't want to get into this deal.
No, and that's why I waited till it was done. So what difference, I was asking Lance, what difference does it make in how long it takes the road to dry out if you keep the borrow pit full of water?
It might take another week or two. Who
Probably
knows?
2 to 3.
Up here.
Yeah.
Plus the fact, the amount of snow on 115th as compared to other areas.
It's a good snow
There's a lot
year.
of snow up there.
And drifting snow, especially around that dugway.
Mhm.
So it's not like every other road is kind of being presented. You know, there are differences. But I think we just need to get up there and, you know, make sure that the wind people are doing what they're supposed to do. We'll have to take a look at how to repair that road now, because I don't think you're going to come to any kind of a conclusion as to who removed those. It doesn't sound like. I don't know if it's even worth getting the deputy up there. But that might be a thought, is just to, because didn't we do that up Taylor Canyon on blotters? We put a gate because they Henry Canyon. It's up off Taylor Mountain Road. And as when it turns to go to blotters, we had the same problem with them tearing up the road, and cost us so much to go in and fix it all the time that we put up a gate that they close during the winter.
He does, yes.
You know, that might be a solution instead of the Jersey barriers and all the extra work, is just get a gate, close it in the winter.
Yep. Something we can definitely look at, but if we open that can of worms, then you'll have the backwoods deputy sheriffs wanting gates on every road, Eagles, Keps, and all of them.
Well, then you deal with them individually if you're having problems with them tearing up the road. You know, yeah. Eagle Pass and some of those, you know, they're not as soft because the wind farms have upgraded those. You know, you just explain that you do it shouldn't make any difference to the deputy whether you put a gate there or not. You know, the gate is to prevent somebody from picking up the barrier and moving it and causing the problem that we had this year.
Well, and these signs, you know, I mean, you talk about the signs. I installed them with Derek this winter. They're not significant. These signs are they're a weak attempt to close the road. My feeling is, and I don't know if we have them that way because we don't have the budget to get more substantial signs. But I tend to agree with the thought that, especially if we're going to see damage like this, a gate is way cheap, which you all would agree. It is way cheap compared to what we're going to have to do on this road to fix it. But I guess what I would like to see improved is on these, if we're going to close them, let's make it substantial. I mean, you know, because if I was to drive up there and seen a road close sign and it's as weak of an attempt as it was, I mean, literally you could throw in the pickup and be gone and nobody would ever know, you know, if nobody had seen them. We had barely even drove away and somebody had drove around one going up to Blacktail when we put those out. We had just barely put them out. So, you know, I can understand the frustration on everybody's side, but I really think that if we really are concerned about this road, a gate's the only option. A gate on each end, restrict them, and call it a day.
Yeah, I agree.
And we may want to look at that at others that we continually close, that we're having issues with. You know, I don't think you can do it on every one as a deputy would want to do, but if you're having a significant problem, like you say, as soon as you get them up there and people pull them out of the way, maybe we need to look at kind of developing that.
We have some perennial issues with certain roads.
Yeah, we do. But these are just to give you an idea of the signs that he's talking about, and then maybe you know, and I'm you know, saying what it is. They're those little white signs, and we bolt on a road close sign and throw a sandbag on top of it.
And we've done that to save money. We have a fair amount of them disappear every year.
Well, that's,
you know, and I'm not trying to, you know, to discount anybody's effort or anything. That's just my observation of being out there with the sign guys and helping them do it. Is, you know, it just.
Why don't you find out what a gate like that would cost? You know, because in case any of you haven't noticed, we're growing rapidly, and you've got a lot more problems up there than you ever used to because you got more people trying to get up there.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to adjust for the times.
Okay.
You may even get to the point where you put a gate up so I can't get up to our dry farm in the winter.
Well, we wouldn't want to do that. Now, we gotta have some kind of rules, special rules for that.
No, you'd want to do that.
Unload it on the road and ride your snow machine back in.
Yep. Okay, anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Hey, thanks.
Well,
Thanks,
so
KR.
Commissioner Walker, did you, yesterday you sent me a meeting or a note from Teams. I don't have Teams yet, and that's why I emailed you back.
Okay, my next note was to Porter or Brian Powell to ask him if you were on Teams, because I said I seem to be a week ahead of him and everybody I try and send a note to.
Yeah, I tried to.
Then I saw that we were going to have our meeting today, so.
Hopefully with 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have that capability, but I don't now.
Thanks, you guys.
All right.
I think Roger was trying to say how much we appreciate KR and how difficult your job is. So.
Well, I do. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Lance, the question I think was to see if the signs were gone when you went up there, if they were just off the side of the road.
They were gone when we went up there, and that's why we had the sign shop replace them.
Well, but that goes back to the argument of the cost of replacing them all the time and going back up there and
Yeah,
doing
no, I think a gate's a great idea.
just put a gate up there.
Not much confusion about a locked gate.
Right.
Shouldn't be.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
What a waste of